Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, 18-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver as voted by their customers. How are you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So we're going to talk about a Dodge Grand Caravan. This is a long-running series of vehicles, and this one had some kind of problem with the rear brakes. What was going on with it?
Well, basically the rear brakes were worn out, which is not an unusual issue, but I wanted to do this hangout just because the way these brakes are worn out is kind of interesting to look at. There's a lot of rust on the rear brake rotors and pads, which happens around these sort of climates with a bit of road salt. And yeah, I just thought I'd share that, and we'll just get straight into some pictures right now because that's probably the most interesting part of the show. So so this is a close-up of the rear brake rotor. Now I don't have a new one to show, but this is basically all the shiny surface material that the pad's contacting. But normally the pad should actually contact from about here out to there, and that on a new rotor that's all nice shiny solid metal. But here, when the brake pad applies, it's basically applying only to one small section of the brake. I mean, it does rub against the rusty area, but really doesn't dissipate the heat in the way brakes are supposed to do so. And the other thing that it does as well is that it wears the pad in kind of a funny way, and you can see these deep grooves in the pads. I mean, the rotor's absolutely unusable, even at this point. But you can see that this is sort of the area where the shiny spot was. This is sort of the flat. This is the contact area. You can see basically half the brake pad is not really properly contacting the rotor and dissipating the heat that it's supposed to. Will you notice any difference slowing the vehicle down? Kind of hard to say, but in a really big panic stop, it will make a difference for sure. The other thing with this pad too is, and again, this is probably from the excess heat that's built up because it hasn't dissipated the heat properly. There's a big crack, I should say little subtle crack running right down the middle of the brake pad. So the arrows kind of point to the end. So that's another issue with this brake. So that's kind of what was going on with the brakes in this Caravan. Needed new rotors and pads.
All right. So was anything else damaged beyond the pads and rotors?
No, actually, everything else is fine. The calipers, which we always inspect very thoroughly, were actually in good shape, surprisingly. What causes this damage is usually road salt or a lot of exposure to salt. We also see it on trucks where people pull their boats in and out of the water, out of salty water. That'll accelerate rear brake rotor and pad wear. But surprisingly, the calipers were in pretty good shape, so we don't change them unless there's a problem with them. Now, there's a lot of areas around Canada and sort of northern U.S. where people go, oh, well, this is normal. We see these kind of breaks all the time. But in Vancouver, this is a little. We do see it from time to time. It's a little rarer. Where there's a lot of road salt, it'll cause this kind of brake wear.
Is there any correlation between a vehicle that's just run once in a while, like and sitting more, where the rust could actually have more time to build up on the rotors?
Absolutely, a very good question. It does for sure. Now, if you're in a really dry climate, it's not going to make a lot of difference. But if you're anywhere that's wet, I mean, the brake rotor is a completely bare piece of metal and unprotected. So the moment it sits for a little while, rust builds up, and that's normal. But yeah, if you were to not drive the vehicle a lot between drives, yeah, the rust buildup can be excessive. But really, like, salt is really what will get in there and kill it faster. So especially if you're in a salty climate, you leave it for a while, that's even worse.
And how about Dodge Caravans? Are they still as popular as they once were?
Well, I kind of wondered that before I did this hangout, because we see a few here and there. We're working a wide variety of cars, but so the answer is yes, they are still the most popular selling minivan in Canada and the U.S. But interestingly, in Canada, last year they outsold their like the next competing model was the Toyota Sienna. They sold 3 times as many Caravans as they did Siennas. So in Canada, there's quite a big change. Whereas in the U.S., I noticed the Caravan, their nearest competition, the Sienna, and also the Chrysler Pacifica, which is a little different but still made by Dodge, Chrysler, Fiat, is actually their numbers are almost as high as the Grand Caravan. So that's kind of interesting. In the U.S., it's almost there, but they're still number 1.
So in spite of their popularity, Caravans are famous for certain model years at at least that they had a lot of problems, transmission problems, engine problems. Are they a better vehicle these days?
I would say they are. You know, I don't see as many transmission issues with them as we used to. So I think they've got that issue fixed. I think overall they're definitely better. Like most cars seem to be getting better and better over time, and they're certainly a better vehicle than they used to be. But I think that one of the reasons that they sell a lot of them is because price-wise they're pretty reasonably priced. If you look at a Toyota Sienna van, beautiful van and probably more reliable, but a lot more money. So price-wise, I think the price point of a Caravan is pretty good. But usually with cheaper price comes quality. But I think they're definitely better than they used to be.
So there you go. If you're looking for service for your Grand Caravan or Dodge Caravan or Chrysler van product in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You must book ahead. They're busy. Or check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. Lots and lots of information on there. Or our YouTube channel, where we've got hundreds of videos over the last 5 years of all makes and models of cars and all kinds of problems and issues that we've repaired. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.